She stepped onto the shooting range, small, quiet, clad in an old, worn shirt amidst a throng of arrogant men. They erupted in laughter, openly calling her a lost tourist. But just one shot later, the entire crowded room suddenly fell silent. No one had time to comprehend what had just happened. The sun blazes over a dusty outdoor shooting range in Fort Worth, Texas. It's Sharp Shot Sunday, a local tradition where men show off more than just their rifles. The smell of gunpowder mixes with barbecue smoke. Laughter echoes. Camo jackets, custom scopes, and egos dominate the air. Among the testosterone and bravado, she walks in, Lena Cole. Mid-30s. Hair tied back. No entourage. No swagger. Just a worn button-up shirt, faded jeans, and eyes that have seen more than they say. She approaches the sign-up table quietly, almost too quietly. The man handing out forms squints. "You sure you're not lost, sweetheart?" A group of men nearby snicker. "Need help loading that toy?" One smirks, eyeing the old rifle case in her hand. Another chuckles. She probably thinks this is a yoga class. Lena doesn't respond. She signs her name, nods politely, and walks to the farthest bench, alone. She opens her case with care, revealing an old bolt-action rifle. No flash, no carbon fiber. Just wood, steel, and memory. She places a small cloth under it, like she's done this 100 times. Her hands move with purpose, her silence louder than their noise. But nobody notices. Not yet. Lena doesn't flinch. Doesn't argue. She just smiles, a soft, knowing smile that doesn't rise to her eyes but settles in her soul. She finds a spot at the edge of the range and kneels. Pulling out a small, weathered notebook from her back pocket, she opens it slowly, like handling something sacred. Inside, pages of sketches, scribbled wind calculations, bullet drop trajectories, and notes in a tight, careful script. She doesn't rush. Instead, she watches the targets downrange like a scientist studying a wild animal. Every detail, wind flags fluttering, light angles, the sounds she observes, absorbs, records. Her world is quiet precision. Some in the crowd begin to notice. "Who's she?" one man murmurs. "Not sure, but she's not here to play," another replies, watching her with narrowed eyes. But Bryce Callahan, former Marine sniper, local hero, and reigning champion, leans back in his chair with a smug grin. "She's cute. Maybe she thinks calm vibes will deflect bullets," he laughs. The men around him roar. "She'll wet her boots when the rifle kicks," he adds, tossing a sunflower seed into his mouth. Still, Lena doesn't even glance his way. Just writes. Just breathes. Just waits. And that silence? It's starting to get loud. Near the back of the bleachers, two range staffers exchange hushed words, their eyes fixed on the woman kneeling alone. "That's Lena Cole, right? Wasn't she in the army or something?" "Yeah. I heard she turned down a high-level post in D.C. A sniper instructor or intelligence. Something big." "No way. Then what's she doing here, dressed like a ranch hand with that antique rifle?" But no one knows for sure. The stories float like dust in the Texas air, unconfirmed, uneasy, and oddly compelling. Lena never talks about it. Not to anyone. Not once. She finishes jotting her notes and slowly opens her rifle case. Inside, not a sleek modern weapon, but an old Springfield M1A. Its wood faded, its metal nicked with time. It's the kind of rifle you'd find mounted over a grandfather's fireplace, not in a competition filled with custom scopes and carbon barrels. The crowd barely glances. One guy scoffs, "What's that?" "A museum piece." But Lena handles it like it's part of her. She checks the chamber, cleans the sight, and runs her fingers along the grain of the stock like she's tracing memories. Not just a tool, something more. Something personal. She loads it. Calmly. Quietly. And for those watching closely, there's a weight in her hands, like the past is still there, just beneath the surface. Bryce steps up to the firing line with a swagger in his boots, and a grin that's been earned more by arrogance than accuracy. He holds up his rifle, a sleek, matte black semi-auto with a custom scope, bipod, and enough attachments to make it look like it came out of a futuristic video game. "Ladies and gentlemen," he calls out, "watch and learn." He fires. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The shots ring out fast, echoing across the range. But the results? Off-center. Scattered. Not one shot in the bullseye. He lowers his rifle, shrugs, and smirks. Wind must have shifted. Then, turning toward Lena, who stands quietly to the side, he offers his advice, like a schoolboy showing off. "Don't worry, sweetheart. It's all about posture. Keep your feet planted, squeeze, don't jerk, and whatever you do, don't blink when you pull the trigger. The crowd chuckles. A few shake their heads. Most just enjoy the show. Bryce has always been the loudest at any range. But Lena doesn't blink. She doesn't argue. She just nods once. And in that quiet nod, there's something unsettling. Not submission. Something else. Lena steps forward. No noise. No show. Just the faint crunch of gravel under her boots as she walks to the line. She doesn't posture. She doesn't look around. She simply adjusts the stock of her old Springfield rifle against her shoulder, like it's part of her. Familiar. Trusted. Then she breathes in. Deep. Steady. Centered. She exhales slow. And just before her next breath. Bang! The sound slices through the air like lightning. Sharp. Clean. The entire range falls into an eerie silence. Every head turns toward the target. There it is, dead center. The bullet punched a perfect hole through the middle of the bullseye. Not near it. Not grazing it. Right through the heart. The scorekeeper blinks. Then squints. Then walks forward to double check. No way, he mutters. He pulls the paper target closer, taps the hole, and announces. Bullseye. Confirmed. A few men whistle. Others mutter under their breath. But Bryce? He stares. His grin. Gone. And Lena? She steps back, calm as ever, and reloads her rifle without saying a word. Because when the truth speaks, it doesn't need to shout. The mood on the range shifts like a sudden gust of wind. The arrogance, the laughter, the cocky banter, it all vanishes. In its place, silence. Sharp, watchful, uncertain. All eyes are now locked on Lena. They're no longer mocking her. They're studying her. Curious. Uneasy. Some even impressed. Lena doesn't bask in it. She doesn't even look up. She simply reloads. Calm. Focused. Like she's done this 1,000 times in 1,000 places no one knows. She steps forward again. Bang. The second shot kisses the edge of the bullseye. Still a near-perfect score. A few murmurs ripple through the crowd. Bang. Third shot. Just beside the center. Bang. Fourth on the line. Bang. The fifth back through the heart. 5 shots. 5 hits. 4 bullseyes. One so close it might as well count. No fancy rifle. No tactical gear. Just a steady hand and an old soul in faded denim. Bryce doesn't speak. His smirk has died. His jaw clenches and his eyes dart. He doesn't understand what just happened. The man who always owned the room has been overshadowed by a woman no one expected. He shifts his weight, tightens his grip on his rifle, but it's too late. The crowd isn't watching him anymore. They're watching her. The range fades to black as a flash of memory ignites behind Lena's calm eyes. A desert sun blazes. Dust swirls. Through the scope of a sniper rifle, a faint breath and bang. One shot. A terrorist drops. Another hostage saved. The year is 2016. Somewhere near Raqqa, Syria. Lena is not just a soldier. She's the one they call when failure is not an option. A ghost in fatigues, precise and unshakable. In another memory, medals are pinned on her chest. Generals applaud. But Lena isn't smiling. Her mind is elsewhere, home. Her younger sister, Ellie, lies in a hospital bed in Texas, her breathing shallow. Insurance complications. Delays. Paperwork. The treatment came too late. That night, Lena packed her uniform into a box. She walked away from the Pentagon's offer, turned down a career in Washington. She chose silence over medals, grief over glory. And she disappeared into the quiet hills of Fort Worth. Now by day, she fixes engines at a dusty auto shop. By afternoon, she teaches little girls how to shoot, not to harm but to protect. She teaches them that strength isn't in loud voices or expensive rifles, but in stillness, precision, and self-respect. As the flashback fades, we return to the present. Lena, standing steady with her old rifle. The same look in her eyes, the one that's seen war, loss, and survival. And now something else. Peace. The silence after Lena's final shot lingers, but it's soon broken, not by mockery but by admiration. Camera flashes start popping. Reporters rush in from the edges of the range, smartphones recording, voices clamoring. Ma'am, who trained you? Are you former military? How did you stay so calm? Lena steps back quietly, almost trying to disappear. Her old rifle slung casually over one shoulder, her notebook tucked beneath her arm. She tries to make her way out of the crowd. But then a woman in a smart navy suit approaches with a card in hand. She speaks with purpose and warmth. "Ms. Cole, I'm from the governor's office." He saw the footage, live actually. He was impressed. "We're launching a new initiative for rural women. Safe gun use, emergency preparedness. We'd be honored to have you lead one of the training programs." Lena pauses. Her eyes flicker with something unreadable. She takes the card, but her voice is gentle, steady. "Thank you, but I didn't come here to be anyone special. I just wanted to shoot. Nothing more." The woman nods, sensing the weight behind the words. Reporters still shout her name, but Lena keeps walking. Past the cameras. Past the awe. Past the noise. Back to the quiet. After the crowd had dispersed and the buzz died down, Bryce found himself standing near the edge of the range, watching Lena pack her things with a quiet grace. His usual smirk was gone, replaced by something heavier, respect, maybe even a hint of humility. He stepped forward, voice low but sincere. "You made your point." Lena looked up, meeting his eyes directly. There was no anger, no triumph, just calm, steady clarity. "I wasn't trying to make a point," she said softly. "I was just aiming for the center." Bryce blinked, stunned by the simplicity and honesty. No insults, no posturing, just truth laid bare in the quiet afternoon sun. For a moment, neither spoke. The noise of the day felt distant, irrelevant. Here, in this small moment, a silent understanding passed between two very different people. No enemies, just two sharpshooters connected by respect. 1 week later, in a small community hall near El Paso, Lena stood before a group of wide-eyed girls, many of them holding their first-ever rifles. The sunlight filtered softly through dusty windows, casting long shadows across the worn wooden floor. Lena's voice was calm but full of conviction. "Shooting isn't about anger or aggression," she explained gently. "It's about focus, control, and patience. It's about knowing yourself and trusting your instincts." The girls listened intently, their nervousness slowly melting away with each encouraging word. For many, this was the first time they felt seen, not just as kids, but as potential sharpshooters capable of strength and precision. Lena moved among them, demonstrating stance and breath control, correcting a hesitant finger here, adjusting a shaky aim there. Her presence was steady, a quiet force giving them permission to believe in their own power. By the end of the class, shy smiles replaced doubt. These girls walked away not just with new skills, but with a newfound sense of worth, ready to face the world with confidence they never knew they had. Word about Lena spread, not just because of her sharp shooting, but because of what she stood for. She wasn't just a marksman, she was a symbol of quiet strength, of resilience beneath calm waters. People began calling her the quiet shot. It wasn't about the noise she made, but the power she held in stillness. Media offers came pouring in, sponsorships, interviews, endorsements. But Lena declined them all. She wasn't interested in fame or fortune. Her mission was clear, to inspire and empower, especially young girls who had never been told they could be strong. In her few public statements, Lena shared a simple but profound message. Teach your daughters to aim, not to impress, but to protect and to believe. That message resonated deeply in towns and cities, stirring hope and courage where it was needed most. Lena's legend wasn't built on headlines or trophies. It was built on the quiet transformation of lives, the spark she lit in others, the courage she nurtured in silence. The quiet shot was more than a nickname. It was a legacy. They thought she was just a quiet woman, just another nobody, easy to ignore. But they forgot something important. Silence isn't weakness. Sometimes it's precision. A calm before the storm. A focus sharp enough to change everything. When the world mocks your stillness, when they laugh at your silence, remember this. Aim. And fire. Because your shot matters. Your strength is real, even when it's unseen. Lena's story isn't just about hitting a bullseye. It's about hitting the mark in life, no matter how quietly you stand. It's a reminder that beneath every calm exterior can lie a fire that no one expects. If you've ever felt underestimated, overlooked, or out of place, this channel is for you. Subscribe to Silent Worth, where the quiet ones finally get heard. Because your voice matters, even when it's soft.